Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not to Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Riverdale. Quite a few things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, you have Betty looking into things further and further. She gathers up everyone from the Midnight Club because they're like, oh, why you think this and that? Like, I should be here and there about, about the whole situation. Like, everyone's trying to say, like, why you got us gathered and stuff like that. She's pointing out, literally, all of your kids are playing G&G, and I'm trying to figure this out. Something that you guys have kept hidden, something that you're avoiding. Even the fact is, pointing out to Reggie's dad is like, yeah, he's playing, Reggie's playing G&G, no matter how much you hit him or give him a black eye. He's like, I never hit my son, and Reggie's kind of like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so it turns to this situation of starting to point fingers. I knew Hermione was on some stuff when she was about to say, like, I think we need to come clean about some stuff. It's like, obviously it was Penelope. Then Penelope's making it seem like it's Daryl. But it's like, oh, how convenient. Which is sad. You never knew that. Maybe that came up before. I never knew that Dilton's dad was dead. I felt like that never came up before. Maybe it was just something that kind of popped up here and there. To be fair, this is like probably the first season that Dilton's popped up a lot. He popped up in a little here in season 1, a bit in season 2, but he was one of those characters kind of just popped up here and there. So I feel like this is the first time he's kind of been like big plot relevant in certain regards. But nevertheless, it's like, oh yeah, his dad came to me. He was so brokenhearted. He was so in love with me and stuff like that. Which part of me wonders, was Daryl actually in love with Penelope? Because it's like, it's almost funny because if he wasn't, it's so, I mean, I guess it gives like credence to what she's saying, but at the same time, it's like it's a little interesting that even in this narrative you're painting, you have to make it so like, oh, he was in love with me because I'm just that much of me. Like, it sounds like that. It sounds like you're so narcissistic that even in this made up tale, you have to make it so the reason why the dude killed himself was because he was so in love with you and you rejected him. It's kind of what she's making it seem like. Maybe there was truth to that. Maybe Daryl really did have feelings for her like that, but I don't know. But she's kind of pointing at him being the one behind all this. And then there's like fingers that get pointed everywhere because it turns out, oh, Daryl didn't die, like, carbon monoxide poison by, being in a car that's on with the windows up. It's like, nope, he was actually dead before then. Oleander. So he was poisoned by a plant. Everyone's pointing fingers here and there. And it's something Betty calls out because she's like, she even goes to Alice. It's like, she's like, why you keep on bringing up all this stuff? It's kind of like, it's settled. It's like, no, it's not. You're all lying. The fact of the matter is, it's endless cycle. You covered up something way back then, and now you're covering up the cover-up because they covered up Daryl's death by making it seem like it was a suicide because they knew his death would bring more questions, and so they did. I mean, who knows? I'm not saying they did, but it's a possibility. I don't know if Betty even suggested it, but it's like, well, it was a cover-up, but I don't know if she specifically said that they covered up in the regard of, like, no, that they put him in the car to make it look like a suicide, which I guess you could make that argument. It didn't sit in my mind until just now because I was thinking, like, the killer killed him and then made it look like a suicide, which is a possibility, but I think more so than anything, because they were all covering it up, means that someone, part of the Midnight Club, put him in that car to make it look like a suicide. And it's just kind of like you're all trying to pretend like, you're all, like, the fact of the matter is, this wouldn't be the catastrophic shit show that it is if you guys would just confess. Because the fact of the matter is, you're covering all this stuff with Dilton's dad, Daryl, just because you're covering up what happened years before then with the whole Midnight Club situation in G&G, and it's like, and then you have the lights to the place going off, and you have the Gargoyle King popping up and all this stuff. And then there's a tomb, a headstone that says Daryl's name, but it's crossed out, it says Alice and Betty. So it kind of it goes with what I had already said before. This is like a revenge story. This whole G&G plot is revenge. I guess it's a revenge against Riverdale for, I guess Daryl's one of many victims in this situation that someone is trying to get back at them. I'm thinking it's Edgar and Evelyn because Josie had her seizure, which, side note, man, did Josie almost crack under pressure when Minetta was going down, like going hard on everyone, be like, oh, this and that's going to happen to you. You're going to be in so much trouble. I was like, is Josie about to crack? Because, I mean, she had like the flimsiest alibi. Like, oh, yeah, I was here practicing music. It's like, could you sound less believable? It's like, come on. and then it's just, but then it's like she had a seizure, and I'm like, okay, now that's the third person who's had a seizure. It's like, what the hell is going on? But the only person who didn't react was kind of Evelyn, and even Betty saw her not reacting, and she's bringing up the fact is, oh yeah, we have our group, still trying to make our chapter of here at the school and everything. So I still go back to the fact is, because that's something that still hasn't been brought up. The principal who died all those years ago, he had to have had a kid, and that kid, I keep thinking might be Edgar, and Evelyn's connected to all of this, helping with the revenge scheme, because it's like, oh, that was her grandfather potentially. But I'd assume that's what this is, because it's all about, because pointing out, like, the game of G&G is based all around Riverdale. It's because I think this person is attacking the evil that is Riverdale. Not just the people in Riverdale. It's trying to hurt and control the children of Riverdale, because it's like, the fact of the matter is, this place is sick and disgusting. And the only way this place will really learn to learn from its mistakes is by having everything burned, for them to lose like I lost. That's the narrative I'm creating for, because that was always the thing about Jughead's explanation. Like, the game is how whoever runs things sees it. That's how I'm chalking up, because the game is based on how whoever it is running things sees Riverdale. Who's this? Because the principal had the game. Well, once again, is he the principal? He is the principal, right? I forgot. Was it Feather? I'm terrible with names. After a while, I kind of forget stuff like that, especially when it's not said often enough. But then it's kind of like, maybe it was originally his game. They found it in his desk, so it's kind of like, oh, he got it from somebody. So that is the question. I mean, the fact of the matter is, they are covering up a lot. If they're going as far as covering up Daryl's effort, maybe it isn't just about the G&G situation with their teacher. Maybe there's something else more nefarious at hand here, especially because you have Alice being like, well, I'm going to go to the farm because it's not safe here anymore. And she's like, well, go ahead, you go off and be at the farm with Polly. I'm not going. She's like, of course you won't go, because Edgar says that you would be fine. And she literally is sending Betty to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy. It's like, what the hell are you doing, lady? The whole issue of Polly being there, like the messed up reason y'all sent her there in the first place. It's not like that place is a good place. Let's not forget what they did to Cheryl last season, trying to like shock therapy to Gay away. That whole situation. So it's like, dude. And Alice is being like, the fact of the matter is, I'm doing this because I love you. They took care of me. They took care of you. I mean, they took care of Polly. It's like, weren't taking care of Polly. They were hiding her away because of the whole, like, her and Jason situation, the whole incestual situation. Kind of a nasty little embarrassment upon the Blossom and Cooper families that you kind of want to keep hush-hush. That's all that was. It was just keeping more of your secrets. It's the same thing with Betty. You can make the argument like, oh, you're trying to do it for her sake. You don't want her mixed up in all of this. They're even being like, oh, we're going to make you better by you being here. It's like, no, because she's investigating something that's literally attacking. Like, more and more people are going to get hurt, and it's going to be their fault. And you have no one to blame. I'm sure that's why Alice is going to the farm, too, because she needs to get away, because she knows that they're hiding stuff and that this is, like, all connected to them, and she's not willing to like tell the truth in the situation, and more people are going to get hurt. And maybe in her mind it's like, if Betty's away from the situation, then she won't get hurt. But I feel like, in my gut, I feel like it's more so about protecting your own secrets than protecting your daughter. It feels like your secrets come first, then your daughter. That's how I feel about it. But hey, maybe, Alice will prove us wrong. The thing is, that's always a sad thing about Alice. She always takes a step forward and then takes like 2 steps back when it comes to the whole mother situation. She is not by far a perfect mom. She loves her daughters, obviously, but she goes about things like the crappiest way sometimes. Like I said, it's almost like you're like, yeah, you're a mom, but then like, she does a lot of shady stuff. Like, it's not just this season either. She constantly does shady stuff. It makes you go, okay, Alice, that type of thing. So there's that. Then there's 2 other sides of things. There's Archie and Kevin going to try and find the guys who basically said, like, oh yeah, Archie's the one that killed our buddy. But by the time they get there, Minetta's already put them down. Because Hiram saw Veronica looking into the evidence, it's like, yeah, we got to get rid of those boys. They know the truth about that whole situation. And so by the time Archie and Kevin get there, 2 of them are already dead. They try to save the third one because for Archie, it's like so many people have already gotten hurt by this. I don't want more blood on my hand. And the kid still ended up dying. And for Archie, you know, it's not, for him, it isn't even just about like, oh, this person could prove my innocence. This is another person that died because of me. Mineta killed them because of Hiram wanting them dead because they were connected to me. He's like, if I wasn't me, none of this would happen. They'd still be alive. Even Kevin being like, no, dude, they were criminals. It's not like they were good people. For him, it's like, it doesn't matter, Kev. They didn't deserve to die like that. And it's like, because for Archie, and I think, you know, that's kind of the whole thing about what Hiram's trying to do. He's trying to break him, and that's what Archie's like. As long as, even if I get proven innocent, Hiram will always be gunning for me because he hates me. And the fact of the matter is, no one is safe around me. That's why he leaves Riverdale at the end of the episode, because it's like, everyone else will always be a target. Even Veronica will be a target for his wrath if I stick around, because he'll always be trying to come after me in some shape or form. It's like, it didn't work out this time, but he'll get, you know, he'll always be gunning for me, and that's the sad thing. And it hurts because Veronica went through so much. She found the evidence, was able to prove Archie's innocent, even got him freed, but it's not enough. You know, it won't stop her dad, and that's the I think this is just going to set Veronica off even more, because it's like, I lost the man that I love, the person I love, because of you. You and your vendettas and you being the biggest piece of crap that you are. Because she even said it at the end of the day. It's like, oh, if Mineta is going down for this situation, he totally is. But she's like, if you two, you know, Hermione and Hiram go down for it too, it's like, so be it. It kind of works out, in, you know, kind of in her favor. Like 3 birds with 1 stone, essentially. And it's like, it's so sad. I mean, once again, it turns to that situation of like, there's not a lot of communication between Hiram and Hermione, because it's like, oh, apparently she doesn't know anything about, like, wait, you were arrested? What? Didn't know about, I'm assuming she didn't know about the evidence that he kept, but that's just because Hiram is the way Hiram is, because he always, well, because he could use that to blackmail other people, like the boys, to ever prevent them from ever doing anything. Maybe it could even be blackmail against Mineta if he ever needed it, but it's like, to keep everyone in line, he has that. So I don't know. So there's that, but I think this is going to set Veronica off even more. It's going to send her on a warpath, because it's like, for her, it's like, the only way I can make sure that Archie comes back home is by taking down her dad. It's the only path forward in that regard. So you have Jug leaving with Archie. Like, is he gone? Is he just going to get Archie to a certain point and then come back, or is he going to stay with Archie? I don't know. It seems like he's taking a trip with Archie, probably most likely to up to a certain extent, because it's like, oh, you ever hopped on a train, and it's like, so there's that. But there's so much else, because they finally tracked down Joaquin. Turns out, I figured as much. It's like, oh yeah, he was working with the Gargoyle King, like he's a part of this, because Jughead saw that there's at least 10 acolytes. So the situation is like, okay, so who are these other people? These might be people related to the farm. Evelyn might have been one of those. We don't know for sure. That's what kind of begs the question too, is like, well, I guess they broke in, but it's like, how did they get into the house? At what point did they have time to do that? I guess, like, to sneak all that in like that. I mean, I figured the only people that are probably in and out of her house like that are the people from the farm. And I mean, we don't see them at the house. We've only seen them there one time, and that doesn't mean they haven't popped up multiple times subsequently. Like, we're just, off screen that we're not getting to see. So who's to say? But nevertheless, the symbol that's on Archie was meant to be sacrifice, and Joaquin was trying to do everything he could to survive. So that's why he did what he did to Archie. And he realizes, like, oh yeah, like, the warden was a pawn in this game just like he was. Sadly, even after all of this, Joaquin ends up dying, which is like, man, you literally brought that character back just to kill him off, which is such a shame. That's going to affect Kevin in some shape or form. I wonder, did the news get to him or not? No matter what, that's still someone that you cared about very deeply at one point in time, so it's got to make you feel it has to make you feel some sort of way, And it seems he has to sacrifice symbol in his head. Because the interesting thing is, like, from the very beginning, Archie's always had a target on his back. He got, like, the warden got orders from the cards, which we saw, but it's like, was that simply from Hiram? Is Hiram using the game to kind of communicate? It doesn't seem like it. It seems like he's taking, like, he legitimately takes orders from the Gargoyle King, which I'm sure Hiram has no aspect of. Because I'm sure he probably has no idea that the warden was playing G&G. The fact of the matter is, I think he does want to stay as far away from that, because that could lead to everything he's been building coming crumbling down upon him if like the Midnight Club stuff gets tied to the past. So I don't think he wants to have anything to do with that. The Gargoyle King might have set the Warden up to be in a position where it's like, oh, I want you to create ties with Hiram. Or maybe it's simply because Hiram had already made, a connection with the Warden, because it turns out he worked as the ROTC teacher back in the day with them. So that's that connection. So, but maybe then the Gargoyle King came to him after he'd already made that connection with Hiram in that regard. Who knows? Maybe he was even playing the game way, way back then. Maybe it's just a new thing for him now. It's hard to say. Because it's like, why now of all times does this happen? Once again, the only thing that's new that's come to town has been the farm, but maybe this has all been a long, planned out thing, because once again, the whole story of Riverdale is reflective of the G&G game and just how everything's kind of going down. So this might not have just been some simple one-off thing. It might be a very long orchestrated plan over the course of the entire show so far. We might see that. I don't know. We kind of have to wait and see to kind of confirm that, but I don't think it was just Hiram. It seems like the Gargoyle King, for whatever reason, wanted to go after Archie in particular. So is it Fred that's at the center of this hate the most, like for Archie to be the target, or is that just kind of a byproduct of like, oh, Hiram wants him dead? Sure, he can be a sacrifice for the Gargoyle King, which Joaquin ended up being one because he had the symbol on his head. So it becomes a situation. It's just like a sacrifice for what? Like I wound up earlier, is it like the destruction of Riverdale or what? There are lots of questions in this situation, and I'm so interested to hopefully get some answers to all of this pretty soon. Betty's situation looks pretty dire in the Sisters of Quiet Mercy, because even inside, people are painting it's stuff about the Gargoyle King, meaning that it has reached even there. So it's not like she's safe in there either, apparently. So it's like this situation, this Gargoyle King thing has run super, super deep. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it too, you don't think that Oleander might have something to do with the seizures, do you? Just because it's like, just the fact is that 3 people got seizures, and only one of them is really neck deep in this situation. That was Ethel, and she ended up suffering a seizure anyway. But it's like, why? Because the thing is, she hadn't, Betty hadn't met Evelyn at that point in time, so... Because it seems like Penelope might be the one that was growing it, but she was kind of like, if I was going to, I wouldn't use Oleander to kill somebody just because it's like it'd leave traces. So we got to check who's ever got traces of Oleander. But I'm thinking that's the only thing I can really think of, causing seizures out of 3 random people like that. It has to be they came in contact with something. Maybe they didn't completely ingest Oleander, but maybe they've gotten into enough of a proximity to it that it got absorbed into their skin and caused seizures, or they ingested a small enough amount that it caused that. So that's my initial thoughts right now. I could be completely wrong about it, because it's once again, it's the 3rd seizure, so what's up with that? And also the big mystery of who are the other 9, since we know Joaquin was one of those acolytes. Who are the other 9? Are they people we know? Probably most likely, I'd assume so. So, like I said, I'm so interested to find out what the next episode has in store for us with all of this. Also, where Archie's going to go. He ended up leaving a note for Fred to find about the situation. So, we'll see what Fred has to do and what Fred's going to do. Because Fred, FP, and Tom had already been like, oh yeah, we're going to go after Hiram for what he did. They haven't taken action yet, because it's also this whole G&G situation that's kind of taken precedent. But now that Archie has to leave because of it, I mean, if I had to assume anything, I'd assume he'd go live with his mom. But maybe for him, even going with his mom, it's if I'm around people I care about, all I'm going to end up doing is causing more issues. Something that hasn't even come up this season at all, hasn't come up for a while. I think it only came up in the 1st season. Maybe it came up in season 2. I don't remember. Is Jughead's mom and his little sister. That story element is they got mentioned, but they never popped up. Even Archie's mom was mentioned and she came up. To be fair, Kevin's mom was brought up and she's never popped up in the show. But obviously that's led to issues between Tom and his wife, ex. But nevertheless, it's just kind of an interesting thing that was in the back of my mind. So in Greendale. You know, it's like, because I don't know Archie comics that much, those are the only two towns I now know in the Archie universe, Greendale and Riverdale. So whether anything happens to be, I wonder will they, because if they did do something with that, would they have like winks and nods towards like the Netflix Sabrina? Probably not, but I feel like they could. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll just have to wait and see what the next episode has in store. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good